I'm Twyla.
And I'm Natalie.
And this is Twyla and Natalie,
where we're going to chat with you all about the joys, the pitfalls of being a grown woman.
Indeed. Every week we ask a question, and it's usually having to do with something that's going on in our lives. And then we have a talk about it. And when we're talking about it, hopefully we come to some sort of universal understanding.
Growth. It's all about the growth. The kind of growth you want.
You know?
Not longer toe hairs, stuff like that.
Okay, we could talk about those middle-aged maladies on another day.
Don't use that word.
What? Maladies?
No.
What? Oh, middle-aged.
Oh! Grown women, Twyla. Grown women.
Well, if it's a malady, I'd rather it all be associated with all the bad terms all at one time. We're talking about grown women do fun stuff like going on vacation and,
exactly,
getting new breasts. I want to focus on like growths and that and have grown women in the same sense. That's okay. We'll skip it. Okay. Anyway, so this week's question, I think I came up with this question.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. Because I have a very specific opinion on it, I think.
Yeah.
This week's question is it okay to be nosy?
Now, I saw the question today, and you got to give me some context because we could go in a lot of places with this. My initial, when I think about it, my initial gut reaction is, yes, it is okay to be nosy. Mm-hmm. The reason that's my answer is because I'm nosy as all get out. Like, I'm not even going to lie. I go down the street. I'm the one looking in windows.
Okay, see.
I love to drive down the street at night and look in people's windows and see what are they doing? What are they watching on TV?
Okay, you do realize that when I get the subpoena from whomever that says they want this particular tape to verify that you do like stalk people's windows at night.
That I am a voyeur. Yeah. I don't do it walking down the street, though. If I was walking down the street and your blinds are open, I'm going to look.
Okay, that is true. And one time, and I can't even say where or when because it might date me, but I lived in a neighborhood where I was walking through the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And one of the
neighbors. Was it nighttime, you said? Nighttime.
It was like early morning, early morning exercise time.
Sure.
And so this will probably already date me because it shows that I did exercise before dawn. And we all know I don't do that anymore. But I was walking past a house and the windows were open and the shades were completely open. And the neighbor was inside their house viewing porn on a large screen TV.
See, that's what you don't want to see.
Right.
I'm talking about families gathered, around a fireplace, that picturesque. I want to see things that are nice.
I don't want to see anything. Like, unless I walk past your house and it looks like a Nancy Meyers movie on the inside, like something's got to give and it's like, oh, look at that table. Like, I'm not interested in what's going on in your house. I genuinely will mind my own black business.
I won't. I will go out of my way to look. I'm not going to creep into your bushes and take a look. I have to be able to see it from the road or the sidewalk.
So just like general.
Yeah, I'm fascinated, like, oh, look at that. They use more lamps and overhead lighting. I like that.
Okay, now I have a question for you.
Sure.
Before we even really jump into the question itself.
Mm-hmm.
My husband we have a disagreement all the time about leaving like the shades and the blinds and stuff open.
Uh-huh.
My philosophy is if I can see the street can see me. So close my stuff.
Yeah.
And his thought is always, nobody's looking in here, so just open it up and let the light in.
Oh, no. People are looking in. Especially when you can see. If you can see, and here's the thing, if it's nighttime, you cannot see outside, and you have your lights on inside, everybody can see inside.
Thank you. That's what I've been saying from the beginning.
Just tell them, go outside. Surely you can prove this easily.
Well, I can prove this easily with somebody that will adhere to logic.
Yeah, he thinks nobody's looking.
Well, and he thinks he's never wrong.
No, so but I'm with you, Twyla. When it gets dark at night, I close everything up. Tony wants to leave it open. He comes upstairs and will like reopen the blinds that I just closed, and I have to go. Like, I don't want people watching us eating dinner. He's like, why do you think people are watching you eating dinner? I said, number one, because that's something I would do. Number two, given the previous religious group I used to belong to, they could be there too, watching us eat.
Yes, now you have a legitimate I
have like PTSD issues.
You have like possible cars in driveway type thing. I mean, I'm
PI's following me.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't want anybody to see me in my underwear in my room when I'm trying to change clothes. Like,
I don't want that either.
Yeah,
I always close it in the bedroom.
See, I do too, and my husband always opens it first thing in the morning. Like, he opens all the blinds.
Even when it's dark out?
No, like, even during the daylight. Like, I'll go in the shower and come in the room and be like, oh,
Twyla,
hey.
They can't see in the daytime.
Yes, they can.
If the light is outside. No, I've tested it.
No.
I've looked.
Point of order.
Yeah.
I am a mother of small children who has lived and been at home, and I'm using the finger quotes right now, for like 12 years. When I tell you I can see everything that's going on in your house during the day, I can see everything going on in your house during the day.
But you got to look harder. It's not like a passing glance when you're driving by a house. You're not stopping.
I live in
a
a neighborhood. It's not about the drivers. No, the drivers aren't looking, but the people that are walking their dogs or walking their kids, like I used to do in the neighborhood, or just milling around my neighborhood at lunchtime.
More importantly, what are you doing during the day that you're so worried someone's going to see?
None of your damn business. That's what. Did I pay this mortgage? If I want to do cartwheels naked in this house, you know what I should get to do? Naked cartwheels. And it ain't none of y'all business because I paid my mortgage. This is my land.
I like to close it too at night, and in it gets darker earlier, and when it gets fall, winter time, summertime, the days are longer, of course. I like to close it too because I don't like people. My pet peeve is I don't want people watching me watch TV. Not that I think someone's standing out there watching the whole thing, but I don't. That seems a little invasive. But I will watch other people to see what they're watching. I love to walk in my neighborhood. One time I was walking down the road. My neighbor had just gotten this giant TV, and I forget what she was watching, but it was some super just guilty pleasure, something no doubt I watched as well. Mm-hmm. And I texted her, "Hey, so how's that show? Blah blah blah."
Now that's creepy.
Yeah, but she's my friend.
Okay, that would freak out.
I said, "I'm standing outside your window."
Yeah, I would probably freak out. See, if I'm gonna text that I'm standing outside your window, then I'm actually gonna be there like waving like an idiot just to make sure that you don't freak out in full. I mean it. Like I'm just messing with you.
She waved, but it involved one finger from her couch.
Now watch us make the delicate shift from looking like we make sense to being total hypocrites.
I'm gonna watch you, but don't you dare watch me. Don't watch me. Exactly. I'm gonna watch TV through your window.
Exactly.
Because I don't have all the cable channels.
So you made the opening sort of statement that you think it's okay. Why do you think it's okay to be nosy?
I think because we have a natural curiosity. I think just as human beings, we have a natural curiosity.
Okay.
And when I think of being nosy, I think of being curious about something, asking questions about something. Kids are good at it. They don't think twice. They walk in the middle of a conversation and be like, "What are you talking about? What's happening?"
But that's not even curiosity. They're being nebby, as my mother likes to call it.
Is that the same as being nosy?
Yeah, it's like the junior version.
But they're curious. They want to know what's going on. I think curiosity isn't something that we want to, squash. We want to teach them manners. When you come in, don't interrupt in the middle of a conversation to find out what's going on. And if the conversation suddenly ceases when you walk in the room, have the decency to not ask, because obviously we're talking about you. Or something, inappropriate.
See, I was trying to think of like how that line works with my kids, because I have teenagers now, and that there's a very weird shift that happens with a teenager. Yeah, like little kids are curious about things, but they're curious about everything. Like they'll ask you who you're talking to on the phone as quickly as they'll ask you, do caterpillars, eat their cocoons when they come out of them? Like
they ask you who you're talking to on the phone?
Yes, constantly.
Yeah. See, I don't. What?
Well, remember,
really?
I'm always on the phone. Oh. That's different.
I'm like, I don't think
separate conversation.
Any of my kids have ever asked me that.
Oh no, my kids ask because most of the time they know it's the same person. I talk to my sister like every day, so it's usually a point of order check. Like, is that not me? Okay, I can act like a regular person. If it's not on me, then they know, be quiet. Don't embarrass me. This might be work.
Okay, but that makes sense. So what is an example where you think it's not okay? I mean, are you saying you don't think it's okay to be nosy as a rule?
I think I'm on the fence. I think because genuinely I have a very sort of laissez-faire attitude about being nosy. Like I'm not usually interested in other people's stuff, which is funny because you and I did a radio show for years where it was our job to be in other celebrities' stuff.
That's all we did was get up in their business.
Yeah, and I just was never super interested in that on the whole. I'm
way more interested about people I know. Or know from a distance.
No,
than I am
I'm even
celebrity
less.
Gossip.
I'm even less interested in that because I always feel like once I know it, I can't unknow it. Yeah, like once you know somebody's dirty business, then the next time you're in a room with them and you're trying to like eat onion dip, you're like, oh, I know your business. Like I can't.
Yeah, but what's wrong with that? See, I'm comfortable in that situation.
I want to know.
I want to know. I want to know everything about everybody.
Now, mind you, if it's really good, you can't really help but get caught up in it. But I don't seek it out. Okay, give a good example. I have friends who love when the gossip mill is churning, and they have a whole network. And I know where I am on the chain. I'm at the bottom of the chain. So if they have cycled through everybody else and asked them, and then they send me a text going, okay, so what's up with so-and-so? I know that means the whole wall, there's a wall of silence. Because the only person below me on the chain is like my dog.
Yeah.
Like,
see, but there's two sides to it in being nosy. Okay. You know, I love to hear everything about everybody.
Right.
But I'm a vault.
Okay.
You know, people don't get information out of me.
Fair point.
And for me, it helps me to put people in context and understand them. And, you know, if it makes sense, like even if you have something good, bad, or otherwise going on and I hear about it, for me, it helps me understand you and maybe have more compassion for what you're going through, because maybe somehow it affected something we were doing together, but I didn't know you had this crisis going on at home.
Okay.
So I'd like as much information as possible about everything and everybody.
Okay, so now here's where we're different. If I know something about you and it colors the way I look at you, then I'm in trouble. And you know this about me.
That's the thing, though, Twyla. It shouldn't. It's if we're talking one specific thing. Like, let's give an exact example. Let's say your neighbor told you that a neighbor 2 doors down was having an affair with the guy across the street.
Yep.
So you got 2 neighbors who are having an affair and you're hearing about it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not close to any of those people, so really it doesn't matter. Beyond when you see them at the bus stop with their kids giving each other googly eyes, it takes on a whole new meaning. But that's not your monkey. That's not for you to go over there and go, hey, you two. And secondly, you don't even know if it's true. You know, I don't take as gospel what people tell me.
See,
about other people.
Well, see, now here's the problem with that, because I get because I don't tune into this information. Usually, if I wind up with the information in my lap, it winds up being like confirmed.
Do you feel like you need to do something about it? Is that what it is?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not. You know what though? But here's why. Because I've told this story before. I've been in the middle of a situation like that where I had information, I should have given it, I didn't give it, and it cost everybody. Like, it cost me a friend, it cost someone their marriage, it cost a lot of stuff.
But these are people who are close to you.
Right.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, but I don't, like, you know, I have like a very funny, like, sometimes I have a very funny, like, moral core about things. And while I have a lot of empathy and sympathy and compassion, and I try really hard to be like, it's none of my business. You know, like, that's why I always say what other people think of me is none of my business.
Sure.
If I know something about you that doesn't jibe with who I am as a person, good or bad, it does color how I view you as a person.
Yeah, but wouldn't you then take that step to confirm it with the person? If it's someone close to you. If it's someone you're not close to, it doesn't matter.
If it's somebody that's close to me, then I would be like, you know what?
I want to know about this, and I think that's legit.
Or I don't even know if I want to know about it. Sometimes I'll just come out and be honest and be like, you know, Streets is talking. Like,
Streets are talking.
Yeah, no, Streets is talking.
Oh, Streets is talking.
Yeah, you know, so just so they know, like, if it got to me, I always tell people, if it got to me, a lot of people are talking about this. You might want to clean this up.
Yeah, I'll hear things all the time. And, you know, especially when you live in a community that's a big community, but kind of a small community. And most of it, I take it all with a grain of salt because people often will put their twist on it. If it's someone I am close to, I will go to them and go, hey, so here's what I heard. What's going on? You know, to know. So I'm not sitting there thinking this is happening. I don't believe everything everybody tells me.
But see, you're very... You're so conciliatory. Like, you so want to make sure that people are okay. And it's something it's something I truly admire about you, in that even in hearing like a piece of gossip, you have the filters in place to go, I'm not going to take it at face value. If this is somebody I care about, I will go to them. I like, my levels of getting this information are usually like, I hear the information. Damn it. Why did you tell me that?
Yeah.
Then the next level for me is, I did not want to know this. Then the third level is if it feels like it should get out someplace, or I'm not sure what to do with it. Sometimes I tell my husband just so that it has somewhere to go, like, so I can try not to deal with it, because he's worse than the vault. He's like the black hole void. He doesn't even remember you told him an hour later.
Yeah.
And then
guys are good like that.
Yeah. And then if I wind up like sitting with it for a while, it usually becomes one of two things. Like, I wish I didn't know. And and here's the other reason I wish I didn't know. I have no poker face. So the next time I see you, if somebody reliable fairly reliable told me, or even somebody really unreliable, but now it's just weird gossip sitting out there, told me that you did something odd with somebody on this date and, you know, in a public place.
Mm-hmm.
The next time I see you, I'm not really going to have the ability to be like, hey, girl. I'm going to be like,
But wouldn't you then ask if it's the appropriate time and place?
No.
To confirm it?
Nope.
And no.
I don't ever ask.
But Twyla, people say things about people all the time.
They
It's
do.
Not true.
And I don't listen. And I'm saying to you,
Yeah.
I get a lot of that. Like I would say 90% of that kind of stuff that comes my way, I usually cut off before it gets to me. I just go, I'm not into that. You don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
Or like if some people are like, did you hear about this? I'd be like, nope, and I don't want to. Like I'll tell you no. If it's usually, and like I said, I'm so far on the bottom of the chain that if something comes to me, it is basically like one step away from like they're calling a lawyer. You know, like it has already been vetted, and now
it's already been in the press.
Yeah,
People
it's already
know.
out there, and I'm
Yeah.
like the last to find out. And then it's like, and now I really can't unknow it.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I'm like, yikes. You know, then I don't, and I said, I'm not very good at that. I'm not good at being like, hey, buddy, I don't know that horrible thing about you that I just learned 2 days ago. Like, I'm like, hey, is my phone ringing? And my phone is like across the room, and I've made a point to tell everybody I left my phone across the room. So then I'm like, let me go. You know, like that's me all day because I'm awkward about it.
What about in a different situation? Let's say, you know how whether it's a friend or you take your kids over to somebody's house or a neighbor's having a party, do you look around? Are you nosy?
No, I hate that. And you know what I used to do?
What?
I used to do I got this from a friend. I used to love that. I used to do the ping pong thing.
What is that?
Where you put the ping pongs in the medicine cabinet.
You put ping pong? Oh,
Uh-huh.
You load your medicine cabinet with ping pong balls?
Yeah.
And then if someone opens it, they all fall out.
Busted. I'll look in your medicine cabinet. You need to look at mine. That's what you get. Was it worth it? But guess what? Them suckers ain't easy to get back in there, is it? Why is so-and-so been in the bathroom for 25 minutes? Oh,
and what is that?
busy.
What is that noise?
Yeah, they're busy. And we always just treat it like a prank, like lighthearted. But yeah, I used to love that.
And bust people?
Because listen, that'll teach you.
Oh,
you know?
my gosh.
And I do know people, like I said, I have friends and I have people that I love that totally do that. Like, or it's specifically, they do it, like one of my friends would do it on dates. They, you know, excuse themselves to use the bathroom. And mind you, don't email me. This is before the Tinder era where we just don't go to other people's houses because they could be killers.
Yeah,
this is when we didn't know any better. So you would be in somebody's house and they would snoop around and be like, they would call you, you know, they would write it down. They'd be like, okay, so what is this medication for?
Yeah. What does this do?
Yeah.
What is an antipsychotic?
Yeah. And I used to get those calls. I used to get that like from my girlfriends a lot because my husband works in medicine. And so they'd be like, he knows pharmacology. What is this? Like, it's like antifungal. But where does it go?
Yeah.
You might not want a second date.
Yeah. That's a herpes medication?
Yeah. Like it's like,
Yeah.
that just means they're, you know, but that means they're clean right now.
I don't go that far with the ping pong balls. I will, though, if I'm hosting a get together, I will go through and get rid of, I'll move away, like, say, the hemorrhoid cream or anything that, you know, just is like, ow.
See, that's why
There's
I have
not
all my,
that much of that.
that's
though.
why my get-togethers are like outside.
You don't want people going through your bathroom.
No, you can. I'm Star Jones. There's a porta potty in the corner. My house is my sanctuary.
You know what, though? I don't go through other people's cabinets. I'm not that nosy. But I will say this. If I'm meeting you for the first time, and like you said, you don't, these days, there's not so, if you're in somebody's house, you're pretty tight in their circle.
Yeah, because, well, no.
People
we
don't
should
invite
no,
you to their homes.
We
these
should say
days.
that. This is the Midwest. People just don't invite you to their homes.
It's a Midwest thing.
Yeah.
That's why there's that saying, you know,
Yeah, 'cause
in the
out
Midwest. Yeah, and anybody will give you directions to anywhere in the Midwest except directions to their house.
Amen, sister. Amen. Because that is, I mean, that's the
And
truth.
apparently
of
it's because we're all going through their medicine cabinets. Because we're all so nosy. But when my children were younger, when my adult kids were little, and this, I'll be curious to see if you think this is being too nosy or if this is appropriate.
Okay.
Now, this would have been the mid-90s.
Okay.
You know, when my
My
now
sweet
grown
spot.
kids were younger, and like early 2000s, you know. And it was a new friend, and I would either meet the parents or we'd be talking on the phone, and I would ask, you know, I hope this doesn't offend you, but do you have guns in the house?
No, that's not too nosy at all. And not enough people do that. Too many people feign politeness instead of asking, is this, does this or this occur? We actually had a whole thing this summer. My kids are older and they had a lot of hangout time on their own. The rules were very specific. Outside hangout time. There's hangout spots. There's a park. There's basketball courts. You guys have your bikes. I was actually perfectly okay with them as a group kind of traveling around the city, as it were, and getting a feel for the city. They're that age. But we had a very specific rule. People don't come into my house. You don't go into other people's houses.
Yeah.
You guys can play in my driveway all day. You can even play in my backyard. But they can't be in my house because their parents won't know that they're in my house and their parents don't know me.
Yeah.
You cannot be in their house because I don't know that you're in their house and their parents don't know me either.
And it's amazing what what I would do then and I think some other parents found this bizarre. I would just volunteer up a whole bunch of information.
Yeah.
Because these are the things I wanted to know when I was sending, especially my girls. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's just, my husband and I will be home and my son who's 9. That's all that'll be home. I would want to know if my girls are going to someone else's house and they're spending the night. I want to know about other kids in the house.
Yeah,
I want to know if I'm sending my 13-year-old daughter to sleep over your house with the other 13-year-old girls. Does she have a 14, 15-year-old brother? And is he having friends over? Because that has happened.
Yes, and that's a whole different ballgame.
I don't know what idiot parent thought that was okay. But, the one that my daughter ended up not going to that house.
Well, no, and here's the thing. People don't, and a lot of times parents just don't only contextualize on the basis of their kid. They go, oh, I love my kid. My kid's good. They, I know my kid. And I say that all the time. I know my kid. But you have to give context. Like I would have, when the kids were younger, I used to do this thing where it would be like a reciprocity sleepover. Because if one kid had some friends over, the other 2 siblings would kind of act like clowns. So then I would let them invite like 1 or 2 friends over. And it occurred to me really early on, I need to make sure that's communicated to parents.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of parents who don't even feel comfortable letting their own child just sleep over in general. Like I know the sleepover culture does not exist the way that it used to exist. And we actually have a lot of kids that I'll try to plan a sleepover for my young daughter and there'll be like 4 kids can come hang out, but they got to go home. And then maybe 1 or 2 actually get to stay. And that's family to family. That is like you get to make those decisions and I respect those decisions. But I had to make sure to say, hey, I actually have a 12-year-old boy and I let him invite 2 of his friends over. And then I have my 11-year-old daughter and she's inviting 3 of her friends over. Yeah, you should know that.
Yeah, I think it's really, that's a point of where it's good to, and I've always loved and appreciated the parents that volunteered that up, even who would say, hey, so we're going to have a few people over and we're going to be having some wine and things. I want to make sure you're comfortable with that. Yeah. And, I remember one mom telling me that even just in the last couple of years. And I said, yeah. I said, I'll be honest though. I mean, are we talking like a full blown, like party, or are you just having a few glasses of wine? Not that it's my business beyond the fact my kid's going to be there. And what if somebody breaks an arm? What if something happens?
Right.
Will there be an adult there
that's capable and
that can drive
and clear enough to take care of business? Right.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I always say, and it's people treat it as a joke, but I always go, don't worry, at my house if something happens, there's a medical professional here.
Yeah.
But it's true. There is a medical professional here. If any of these kids hurt themselves, my husband is a trained medical professional. He's a surgeon. He can help. And that is helpful for you to know. I don't ever let you leave my presence or let you leave your kid here without me forcing all of my contact info on you. Hey, listen, do you want you have my email? I say here, I will give you a second email because the school one is what really for school things. And this is one that I actually check all the time. So take this one too. Let me give you my number. Let me give you my husband's number if you'd like to have it. If I offer up whatever will make you feel comfortable, because I understand that I got your precious cargo in my house right now.
Yeah. Here's how you do my smoke signal.
Right. Well, listen, no, one time this lady asked me, she's like, are you like, my son says you're on social media. I'm like, yeah, what, you want my Twitter handle?
Yeah. Do you want to tweet me?
Yeah. I was like, I might talk about the kids making noise, but I won't mention your kids by name. But yeah, if you want it, fine.
And today with technology, we have the means and we have the ability to be more nosy.
Okay. Now let's really dig into that, because I think that is the place where I get the most weirded out about people being nosy. I don't mind if you want to know something about me necessarily, because I mean, I'll be honest, I think I'm fantastic. So
it's about time you found out.
So yeah,
let me share with you why.
It's okay, and I know that how I use these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, every once in a while somebody's going to look around, but it does weird me out a little, and I had to get used to this when we started doing radio, and even more now with this. When people who don't know me want to know things about me,
sure,
that's an inconsistency that I'm still learning how to live with. Is, you know, like somebody was looking at your, you know, somebody liked this thing that you said, or somebody sent me a direct message. Like I got my first like weirdo. Okay, and it's not a weirdo because he didn't say anything weird. He just said hello, but he did. But it was like,
don't you dare say hello to Twyla Dang people.
Well, but you know, like all of my social media and stuff is branded, like specifically branded, like married mom of 3. Like I'm always like so unavailable to you.
So he says hello. So what did you do?
Blocked him.
Of course, he could be someone listening to our show.
He could just say hello in a public forum. Then why are you saying hello in my DMs?
Exactly.
Don't slide up in my DMs.
Yes.
I know what. Listen, I might not be young, but I'm hip with the kiddos.
No, I learned the hard way not to respond to private messages from men.
Yeah, because they think that means you can, you know.
No, and I never wanted to be rude, and
that's because you're polite to a fault.
Because I'm polite to a fault.
I'm just like, peace out.
But I learned the hard way, and because sometimes it would happen where I write for different local publications in our community. I'm a columnist, and I would get a private message on Facebook. Hey, I just read your column about this, and a few thoughts. And then I would say, hey, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. And for some, that would then open up the door to, you know, a couple where it really, that was just a reason. The column was an excuse for them to reach out to me.
Right.
And then it
they
was
wanted
like,
to get in
you
your face.
Single?
Right.
I'm like, all you got to do is take one look at my Facebook to know I am not single.
Right.
I'll plaster that
but
man's
that's not
face
the point.
everywhere.
But that's not the point. The point is you responded, which meant I'm in there. I got a shot.
Yeah, and the straight just hellos and stuff I don't respond to at all.
But
I
block those.
I don't block them unless they get inappropriate, and I did have some of those.
Nah, I just block them because if I don't block you, then you're gonna think that there's some sort of flicker of that candle still left. I want you to fully understand that the candle is out. We have put it in the ground. We have put dirt on it. We sprayed it with the hose. You know, weeds will come up in its wake. That's all. You should just know you got no chance here.
And we're talking specifically about messages from men that we don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, okay.
What if it's a woman?
I get messages from women sometimes, but not like those kind of messages.
You don't turn around and block them.
Depends. I'm not gonna lie. It depends.
But see, and that is something I think, you know, that like you said, you're getting used to it. Even though
there's a difference between somebody being like, hey, I listened to you or I saw you at X, Y, and Z and I was really impressed with what you said or I really enjoyed seeing you there. That's great. That means we had some sort of connection from what I do to what you're experiencing and you just wanted to reach out as like a person who wanted to connect with another person. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Now, when you send me a message just like, hey, that's universal. We know what you're trying to do. I'm not trying to let you do that. And then sometimes,
I get it.
Yeah, and sometimes women will email, will send me a message. And the thing is, with women, and I'm not saying all women. Please don't send me emails. Sometimes women that follow you in this, when you're in the pursuit of this type of career, will have a very specific attachment to you. Mm-hmm. And then that means that when they get a very specific attachment, they easily get hurt or upset by something that you say. Mm-hmm. So, and that is sort of comes with this territory. You do this job, that happens sometimes. Sure. But sometimes I will get, you know, a very kindly, like, oh, I kind of disagreed with what you said. That's fine.
Yeah, that's good. And for the record, we welcome that.
Yeah, like I always like feedback. I don't have a problem with feedback. But sometimes I will get on this day I called in and I said this thing and you said this thing and you didn't even follow up on it and blah, blah, blah. And I tried to reach you and you didn't, like a full tirade of like why they're angry at me because I didn't give them the interaction that they wanted from me. Yeah. My job isn't to give you that interaction. Mm-hmm. My job is to do my job. And if you're looking for that kind of interaction, you need to go find a friend because I am not your actual friend. And that is, you know what? And that's honestly, that is one of those things. And, it was a good reminder to myself. And even something that came up as we started to build this company is that we're all kind of nosy if we're on social media because we all want to, like, we follow people we're interested in. We follow lives people that we think say interesting or funny things. And it creates this false narrative that you're friends with that person, that you're actually connected to that person in a specific way. It's created
a whole different level of friendship.
Yeah.
Because you really do. There are people that I've never met in real life outside of social media that I have relationships with that in some ways, or even they know more about me than someone who is not a close friend but a friend in real life.
Right.
Because we interact so much. We're on social media talking about shows that we love or talking about whatever's happened in the community. There's more, and I don't see it as less of a friendship if I never meet them in person, when you really are continuing to engage.
Right. But it also creates this very specific conundrum that an internet friend is not the same as your real friend.
Exactly.
And you have to understand what the rules of engagement are for an internet friend. So you have this person and you're connected to them somehow on this thing. And you may have been like talking back and forth for years.
Yeah.
But when you try to cross the border from like internet friend to getting to know them in real life, which I've had to do in the last year, trying to, help build up Matriarch.
Sure.
I very specifically had to ask people, hey, I mean, I don't really know you and you don't really know me, but we've been connected on here for years. And I have this thing that I'm working on. I would love a chance to talk to you about it. And I always make sure to ask, would you feel comfortable talking to me like in real life? Would you feel comfortable having a conversation with me on the phone? I can give you my contact information, because this is like a whole other thing, like jumping into somebody's personal messages and being like, hey, I want to talk to you about something. We cool, right? Why don't you give me your number? No.
See, I feel like I would be a little more lax and open with that one if it, if there's context to it. And you know why? Because I'm naturally nosy.
Okay.
So as much as they might want to know about me, I want to know about them. I have a natural curiosity, especially when it's someone, whether they're reading a column I wrote or they listen to our show. I'm always like, wow, what? Because we do the show and we know who we are.
Right.
And I love hearing about the people who listen to it, because I always think, like, where are they listening? What are they like? What do they think about this? And
that's
so
cute.
What made them want to listen to a second show?
I'm always just like, did you subscribe? Thanks. Did you listen? Awesome. Like I'll be perfectly honest. It's not because I'm sort of I have the duality of thinking. I always have to think the bigger picture and the smaller picture. Like, I appreciate every single person that listens, and I think they're fantastic. And I'm amazed that people find us interesting enough to listen to. Like, God bless them. But at the same time, I don't dig further than that. Like, I'm not like, hey, Carolyn, Muskogee, like, I really want to know about your life today. I'm always just like, Carol, did you subscribe? That's so cool. Girl, me and you forever.
Yeah, I'll go look at somebody's page, who's a new friend, and just to kind of get a feel for.
But you know what? That
goes
back to it too. Now, because we've had this debate for years on social media. Your social media is just open. Everybody can be your friend.
I'm an open book.
My social media is closed.
Yeah.
you can be my friend and I'll be perfectly honest, on Facebook, you can't be my friend if you don't actually know my children in real life. Like, if you haven't met my children and see them before, then I'm not friends with you.
Yeah, you have to go to Twyla's fan page.
Yeah, you can interact with me.
Follow her.
Yeah, all day on the fan
just
page.
Twyla Dang.
It's official. Yeah, it's official Twyla
But me,
Dang.
Natalie Webster, you can find me on all social media, and I pretty much friend you unless you look like a fake account.
Yeah,
or
it's
a
funny.
Total nut job.
All my other social media is public, and I don't mind that, but my Facebook is decidedly private, because that is where my children are at. And so, like, that, I have family there. We interact. We share information there. And
well, so that's why you need a separate one. But I have my family there to a degree. I do take steps, though. I don't often, even though my kids are adults, I don't always tag them and stuff when we're together.
You're very respectful of that.
Yeah, I've had people reach out to my kids. Now, granted, I have adult children, but
that's why I don't do it.
Yeah, it's still not any less creepy, but I've spent years writing about my life and writing about these different things.
So they think they know you.
And but to a degree they do, because I'm very open about I shared about when I quit drinking. I share about a lot of personal things. So I feel at the same time that if I'm going to put these personal things out there, which I do in my columns and we talk about a lot on the show, I've opened the door. I have opened the door. So if someone comes and they have a question or more curiosity about it, I'm open to it. Doesn't mean I'm going to tell you exactly what you ask if I don't want to, but I feel more open to it because I feel a responsibility, because I'm the one that shared my business.
So I'm telling y'all right now, I don't care if I give out my social security number on here. If you come and ask me something, I'm usually going to say it's none of your damn business. It's just what I'm going to do.
No, and that is true.
It's my default.
It is true, and we are still different that way. But I think it's different too.
Natalie knows
sharing a lot longer.
I still lie to people sometimes in public if they ask me, am I who I say who they think I am?
Are you Twyla Dang?
Do you?
Nope.
Yeah, no. They'll be like, don't you do radio? No. And they'll be like, but your voice sounds so familiar. That's funny. I've heard that before. No. Or I'll tell people be like, you look so familiar. I'll be like, yeah, I love some other black girl, And then I just keep going. I don't tell them.
So how do you handle this scenario? How do you handle, we're moms, we have kids.
Yep.
You go to sporting events, you're there, you're with the other moms. So because I am nosy and I am curious, you know what's funny is I rarely ask somebody what they do for a living.
Oh my gosh. Me too.
Never. I don't.
Okay, wait.
I hardly ever ask.
Wait, I just had. I was getting ready to put this as a question on the board because I was a little bit concerned. I just realized the other day that somebody I'm actually very close to, I have no idea what she does for a living, and I just realized this because I never ask, and I realized that's got to be a mark of a bad friend is that I never ask people what they do.
No, okay. I don't think so. I think for me I don't want what you do or what you don't do to be an influence or for you to think it's an influence.
Yes, I don't actually care what you do. If I like you as a person, I like you.
Exactly. I feel like that should not matter. Now, if it comes up in the context of the conversation, which it often does, then that's totally cool.
Right.
I'm more likely to get in and talk about, like what shows you watching? Have you seen a good movie lately? Or there'll be something I'm talking about and it'll come up. And I met this great woman the other day at football and who worked in eating disorders.
Oh, wow.
And she just had great, insight and things. And but here's what caught my attention. You want to talk about being nosy? I'm standing next to her and I see her talking to a guy next to me who she obviously knows. And they're having this really nice upbeat conversation about the kids. And it's so positive. And I'm thinking, wow, that must be her neighbor. They're just getting along so great. It was her ex-husband.
Oh.
And I listened long enough to figure it out. So me being nosy, and I thought, and then when she and I started to chat, I asked her about it. How do you do that? That's great. And she goes, it's taken work. And she shared a bit about it, which led to kind of what she does for a living, being kind of a therapist.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow.
See, now here is the.
It's like the unicorn.
Yeah.
That was.
But see, here's the pure difference between you and me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
At that same football game where you are standing and you can hear a conversation which would open the door to you asking a question. I show up at that game. I stand in your spot. I put headphones in and then I stare straight ahead. and if somebody comes up to me, and then somebody I want to talk to, as soon as they start talking to me, I point at it like I can't.
Yeah.
And it's not even on. And this is what makes me a jerk. They're not even turned on. They're almost never turned on.
See, and that is where we differ. And because I genuinely, and sometimes, people, I find it amusing when they think they'll be judged by what they do, or especially when they think what they do isn't good enough. And I find it fascinating. There are so many jobs I want to do for a day just to get a feel. I met somebody who was a checkout at a grocery store.
You don't want to do
another
that.
mom. No, I totally want to do that.
No, you don't.
My question to her was, what are the most strangest things people buy?
See, that is you right there. And this goes all the way back to what you said at the beginning about being curious.
Yeah.
You genuinely are curious about life and how people live it.
And I want to hear the freaky deaky stories.
Well, and the thing is, I can totally it fully puts you in a very specific context, like given your background, remember, I don't even know if you remember this, but like 5-6 years ago when we met, and you had just first left the church.
Yeah.
And you had said that it felt like being a teenager because there were all these things you had never experienced and all these things you didn't know about that you were just learning now.
Yeah, because I worked 24/7 for Scientology when I was in it, and I wasn't watching TV or reading newspapers for years.
Right. So you had this sort of like download of information that you had never gotten before. And I remember being fascinated with it because we were both in the same age range. At the point where you were at where it was new to you, I was at the saturation point. Yeah. So it was just like, I don't want to know any more about this. I don't need to know more about this. I'm already good on this. And I'll be honest, I was probably I probably am at saturation point with people's stuff, like other people's information and other people's dramatics and things.
Yeah.
I've been through, I mean, I had messy 20s and I had friends in their messy 20s and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't enjoy everybody's messy 20s. Like where you like when your friends would get in a fight and you would just be like, girl, where's popcorn? And you just watch it. And then when it would end, you would break off into your groups and you go get one and they'd go to the other and like, oh, tell me what happened. And then you'd regroup later and be like, okay, this is what they said what happened.
Sure.
I mean, I was even messy myself. My husband and I got in a very, as boyfriend and girlfriend, we got into a very public fight at night, like midnight in downtown St. Paul.
Outdoors?
Yeah. And he was in his car. I refused to get in the car, like a full tilt, like CW drama moment, like, get in the car. I'm not getting in the car. And he drove off dramatically without me and left me in the middle of downtown St. Paul at midnight by myself next to the bus station. And the next bus didn't come for like an hour.
He didn't come back?
No, girl.
Oh.
No. I mean, it was a full tilt. Like I said, we had a full-on dramatic, foolish moment. I've had those moments. At 43, I'm not interested in being in those moments, and I'm not necessarily interested in hearing about other people's moments of that. So it makes it much easier for me to go, I don't want to know what you, like when somebody's like, oh, girl, did you hear it? No, I didn't, and I don't want to.
Yeah. You know what you do? You make a really good point. I miss a big chunk of the human experience being in the group that I was in for so long. And I think you're right. I think that is a large part why I truly am fascinated by people, because I was isolated and I only, lived with other Scientologists. Those are the only people we ever socialized with.
Yeah.
And I didn't leave till I was 40 years old.
Right. And the thing is, and the thing I think that the reason it kind of takes a turn from being like messy 20s like we were to what you experience now is that you have that curiosity, but you also now have all of the maturity and life experience and compassion behind it
to know what to do with it, and I think how to process it.
Yeah, where you really do absorb this on a different level than even I do. Absolutely. Like I absorb this stuff as, I find people fascinating. I like a quirky person. Yeah. But
you want to know how every celebrity smells. So
yeah, that's just a personal quirk. I have a goal, and my goal is essentially to smell the neck of every good looking guy in Hollywood at some point. But no, I mean, but really you take the information in and you sort of break it down to like what makes this person this person. Yeah. And I think that's a really great humanistic thing to do. Mm-hmm. I think I tend to take this information in and go, okay, do I have to do something with this? Do I have to, are you expecting something out of this? Like, and to be honest, because we're at that age where usually this kind of information comes to you and there's stakes involved, I just try to take myself out of it altogether. Mm. And I even do that. I'll be honest. I even do that with family. Like my family will call and it'll be like, cousin X did something to cousin Y. And I'll be like, and this cousin Z is staying all the way up it. I don't want to be in it. Like, just, that is not my mess today. That's somebody else's mess today. I know I'll probably have to circle back around and get re-engaged in things again because I have kids and they're going to start dating and I want to be more involved.
You're going to need to be nosy.
Yeah. And mind you, I am nosy with them more than I am with other people. Like, I'm always like, is that girl cute? Is that boy cute? What's going on? Like I'm always doing that. But at the same time, I don't know. And sometimes I like to say it's like I've mellowed, but I haven't. I think I've just exhausted it.
You've just tired yourself out.
Yeah, I've exhausted it. And we had a funny conversation off air a while ago about the idea that I probably do have ADD and just never had it diagnosed. And that it presents itself with me having, like, if there's something I'm curious about, I go all the way down the rabbit hole till I can't get any more information. Yeah, you have what will be called,
it's a subset of ADHD. It's overfocused ADHD.
Yeah, and I do that, and which benefits all of you because that's why this podcast network exists. Yeah. But if it's something I'm into, and I can do that, I can, to the exclusion of everything else, I'll go, if I'm into this, I want to know all about this. And mind you, it could be something like when I found out my daughter had ADD, it was me hyper-focusing to learn everything I could about that. When my mom got sick, I wanted to know everything about that. Mm-hmm. But it also is really foolish, nonsensical things like I discovered K-pop and then spent 2 years in the K-pop rabbit hole learning everything I could about the music, the industry, how it works, why it's like this. Like,
so you don't differentiate, which is kind of the point with the overfocus ADHD.
Yeah, if it's important,
on one thing, doesn't matter what it is.
And I think I like that it allows me to not ever have guilty pleasures, because if it's something that's pleasurable to me, I just enjoy it, and that's kind of how it works. But I mean, that's, like I said, but that's the only places where I get nosy. And it's usually not people nosy. Like, I don't want to know their stuff. Yeah. I just want to know, like the information. Like, I just want to know things. I don't necessarily want to know your business.
Yeah. I want to know your business. I want to know you married, divorced. How do you get along? And I'll ask perfect strangers these questions.
Yes, she will. I've heard her do it.
Yeah. Because I really am like, well, so how? And I always think that people are open then to kind of sharing tips. And I've had to learn that, okay, not everyone is comfortable with that question.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna tell a story on us, and it's like my favorite story on us that I tell. So, and because we hadn't known each other very long, but we had known each other just long enough for it to be funny. Okay, I'm gonna say 2 words and you're gonna remember Chanhassen Theater. See, okay, so I'm gonna tell the story, but not in full tilt. So we used to get these like free tickets to go to things, and there's this like dinner theater.
Is a great dinner theater.
Yeah, it's a magnificent dinner theater where we live, and so we're in the theater. So I bring a friend. And Nat brings her boyfriend, and then this third couple joins us, and they're friends of Nat's, and we're getting to know them, and we're all like at the table, and this is a perfect illustration of your relationship to people, my relationship to people, and what happens when you make other people comfortable with the way that you deal with people, because you make people so comfortable that they will tell you things. So we're sitting at the table, mind you, the couple C is we'll call them. We had never met them before that night. Myself and my friend, who actually is the business partner here at Matriarch, the 2 of us are sitting there, and we're talking to them, right? And they proceed to tell us, like, surface stuff, like, oh, we're married, and we've been married for a long time.
And you can be totally open, too, because this couple will be the first ones to, like, not even care we shared it on a podcast.
Yeah, it was really hilarious. So we're sitting there, and we're all, like, where it's like a rectangular table, so there's 3 per side, and I'm sitting next to your boyfriend, and you're sitting on the other side of him.
Yeah.
My friend is across from me, and this couple is sitting next to her. The couple proceeds to start telling the story, like how married couples do, in tandem, about how essentially they both cheated on their spouses and wound up together. And then
in detail.
And not small detail, y'all, like detail, like how they were friends and they used to go to the theater together, and then somehow they just kind of started like getting into each other, and then they drifted apart from their spouses, and then they wound up together.
How they would secretly meet up to Boink.
Okay, and and she's not kidding. They're telling us all of this, and mind you, your boyfriend's so used to like you and how your friends interact with you that he's just like, okay, like he's just sitting there absorbing it.
Yeah.
You've heard the story before, so you're just kind of in and out of the conversation with your phone. And me and my friend, I my business partner, are freaking the hell out. We are now under the table texting each other like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What did she like? This is like the string of texts. I should go back and find them in my phone and post them. Because it was like, did they just say that they were adulterous and then they married each other? Wait, did she just say that they used to have rendezvous? Why did she tell us about her rendezvous? We lost all of our marbles with smiles on our faces. And you know me, I don't have a poker face, so I have the weirdest like non-smile grimace going on. I'm like, and we're just not doing it.
But what's even funnier that for me added to the context, because I could see, I was a little like, whoa, I guess we're going to go here with everyone. I'm used to doing it one-on-one with people and people opening up, but I guess we're going to bring it to the whole table. Is you got to realize we are sitting in a dinner theater. Every single table is full with somebody in the media.
Yes, it's a room full of like
nosy people.
Yeah, it's like it was like a media showing, right?
And it was media night.
And they're not like being all like, like discernibly quiet or across the table. You couldn't be, because it was a loud venue. And they're just like, oh yeah, and then we used to sneak over here, and we used to... And our kids hated it at first because they knew what happened. And I was just like, what is happening?
But the great thing is, and what I love about how they share that story, is it's just open.
Yeah, I will say this about it.
Yeah.
They're super open about it. Like I said, it's not even about them. It's about the fact that you as a person create a comfort level around people that you're tight with, that they feel comfortable talking about this. Like they didn't even hesitate to speak about it in front of people they didn't know, because you've already made it like a safe atmosphere to have this conversation in a non-judgmental way.
Yeah, and that's part of part of that too, is because they owned what they did. They came clean. Everything was out in the open. And they talked about it. Well, obviously they talk about it and shared it in a room full of people, in the media. But you're right. It's that non-judgment. Like, I think it's great that you're sharing that, but also sharing it in a way, they're the first ones to say too, yeah, I shouldn't have done it this way, but here's what happened.
Yeah. And they totally said that. Like they weren't sort of braggadocious or anything. They were just very open and upfront and honest about the story,
honest.
Which was hilarious because, like I said, my default setting is, please don't tell me your business. And so now, mind you, I'm like, I just met you. I'm about to break bread with you, essentially. And we're going to be sitting here together for the next 4 hours, and you have told me this story. I don't even actually know your last name. But you have told me this entire story that I now know and didn't really necessarily need to know.
Yeah.
And so, and the only thing that made this story better, honest to goodness, the only thing that made this story better is that 15 minutes before the curtain went up, Natalie left. So then we spent the rest of the night with this couple that we had just met who had just dropped this information in our laps. And we are all, and so the rest of the night we were sitting here awkwardly like, okay.
I didn't even think about that when we left. I'm like, oh, one of the kids isn't feeling well. We gotta bail.
She was just like, peace out.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, and it was like, wait, we have like 3 more hours to sit with these people.
And I don't do the Midwest goodbye where it takes 20 minutes to say goodbye. When I'm ready to leave,
No,
I'm just like,
she
all
went
right,
to the bathroom and she came back and said, okay, we're leaving now. And I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't even know you well enough back then, like, to be like texting you like, heifer, where did you go? Like,
you left me.
Like, we were just sitting there kind of shell shocked, like, did she just leave us with these 2 people that are not our people? These are not our people. Like, what's going on? And mind you, I can say all that now because I know they're perfectly lovely people.
Oh,
I have
totally.
interacted with them in future occasions. They're very lovely people. But it was the entirety of that situation sums up in a nutshell the difference between you being nosy and me being nosy. Because I don't ever seek out the information; it just sometimes falls in my lap, and then I have to like take my
you process it.
I have to take my ambivert brain and try to process it in a way that doesn't make my ears melt. Like, I gotta do something. So I think this is a good point to ask if we answered our own question. Is it okay to be nosy?
I am sticking with yes.
Okay.
I'm sticking with yes. And even, you got to know, I think, have an appreciation of the boundaries of other people. But if you're doing it in a way, and I always say this, it's the intention, where you're coming from on it. If you're being nosy because you want to mess with somebody's life, no, that's not okay. But that natural curiosity, I say go with it. Look in people's windows. If the blinds are open, they want you to.
I'm going to...
Unless it's my house, then keep driving.
I'm going to put it back in the easiest way for me to say it is, I believe my life philosophy is good. What other people think of me is none of my business.
But this is more of a what do you think about other people?
And whatever you got going on, I don't want to know. I'm going to happily be the turtle who puts her head so far into the sand that all she hears is silence.
Well, we're on different sides on this one, but that's okay.
For once. That's how it wound up. All right, we want to know what you think. I'm sure you have opinions. I know we're going to hear about them. Let us know. Go to Facebook and type in Matriarch Digital Media. It is our Facebook page. We have a lovely little send message option on the right-hand side. Click on it. Send us a message. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know what you think about the topic. And you can even suggest things you want us to talk about in the future. I mean, we only have so many problems, so you can start suggesting things for us to discuss too.
That's right.
And as always, we really appreciate getting the opportunity to do this. It is a fantastic job, obviously, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. We will talk to you soon.